Thanks for joining the educational webinar for AASHTO Resource and AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions. I am Awilda Merced, AASHTO contractor and former DOT employee. Today, we will have an overview of both AASHTO programs and how they compare in some aspects. This webinar is only for state DOT and Federal Highway Administration staff. If you are not one of them, we kindly ask you to log off. I would like to present the speakers for today's webinar. Brian Johnson, Program Director for the AASHTO Resource AASHTO Accreditation Program. Vince Glick, Program Manager for Business Systems for AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions. Keegan Visser, Program Manager for AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions. With that, I will let Vince start this webinar.
To begin this webinar, we'll provide a brief overview of AASHTO as a whole. The American Association of State and Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO. AASHTO represents all 50 states, Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico, and serves as a liaison between the state departments of transportation and the federal government. AASHTO's primary goal is to foster the development, operation, and maintenance of an integrated national transportation system. Now I'll turn this over to Brian Johnson to provide an overview of AASHTO Resource.
All right, thanks, Vince. Just a little history about AASHTO Resource. I guess the main points are really that AMRL, AASHTO Materials Reference Laboratory, was established in 1965. Now, back then, that program didn't include everything that it does today, but currently, starting in 1988, the AASHTO accreditation program started, which has allowed us to take the results of the assessments that were being conducted since 1965 and get corrective actions and start accrediting laboratories. When we first started accrediting laboratories, we only were working with the DOTs, but now we're up to around 2,200 laboratories overall, and that's in the United States, Canada, and a few other countries. We cover a lot of area, but we also cover a lot of material types. There's another agency or entity that helps us carry out this work. Those of you who have been with the program for a while already know this very well, but AASHTO Resource covers a lot of the asphalt, soil, and a lot of the materials related to asphalt and soil, in addition to iron and steel, SFRM, which is a sprayed fire-resistant material that's used in building construction, and quite a few other things. Pavement preservation is one of the more recent scopes that we've added to the program. So we cover those for the assessment program. And then a lot of those, we also have a proficiency sample program. And we'll get into the details of those different programs here in a bit. But as you can see through there, we don't cover every material type with a proficiency sample, and we don't cover every test method that we accredit for with a proficiency sample. But we do try to cover all the key ones. So AASHTO Resource handles a lot of this, and CCRL covers a lot of the cement and concrete. Now, CCRL was established a long time ago, back in 1922. It is a program of ASTM, and it's mainly cement, concrete, masonry, and a lot of materials related to those programs. We're seeing a lot of growth in those areas right now, especially with what's been going on with Portland cement. A lot of people are using limestone cements and other cementitious materials right now, and you're starting to see the program evolving a little bit at the moment with that. I think we're going to see more going on there. But together, those assessments and proficiency samples come together, and on the AASHTO accreditation program, we deal with monitoring the accreditation status, reviewing corrective actions, making sure proficiency sample results are satisfactory. And if everybody can do everything they're supposed to do to satisfy the accreditation requirements, that will result in AASHTO accreditation. All right, let's get into the assessment scopes. I already touched on that briefly. But as you can see, we've got soil, aggregate, rock, asphalt mixtures, binders, emulsified asphalts, pavement preservations, chip seals and slurry seals, sprayed fire-resistant materials, the SFRM. You can see that being applied right there, and iron and steel. The assessment process is pretty simple. Laboratory that's interested in getting accredited, they'll submit an application. We review the application and make sure that we can fulfill the requirements of the laboratory. We will then assign assessors and get them scheduled. We usually give laboratories about 4 weeks out, so we don't perform a lot of surprise assessments. Then the assessors go on site and they carry out the assessment. The assessors will, when they're done conducting the assessment, they have a closeout meeting with the laboratory where they review the contents of the report. Then they will then finalize the report. It goes through editing and it gets emailed to the laboratory contacts and it gets uploaded onto the laboratory's page on AASHTO Resources website. Now, what goes on during the assessment? Really, a couple of different factors that play into it. The big one that differentiates us from a lot of the other accreditation programs around the world is we actually watch a demonstration of the testing for all of the tests that are included in the on-site assessment. So we will actually watch them perform the tests on materials. And there's just an example of photos of, those are kind of old photos, but they're photos of people running tests that like what we would see during an assessment. We also check equipment. We don't check every piece of equipment. We check a sampling of equipment at the laboratory. Laboratories are generally doing their own checks or having calibrations performed on the testing equipment that they use. So our checks are more confirming that those have been done correctly. And we not just that, but we'll make sure that, let's say that somebody uses a process that isn't quite right. We may uncover that actually happened during the assessment when we're checking it with our equipment. And the third part is evaluation of the quality management system. We use AASHTO R18 as the basis for the AASHTO accreditation program. In addition to that, we will include different standards that laboratories would like to include in their scope of accreditation. This is most commonly ASTM standards that are similar to R18, but not exactly the same, like C1077, D3666, D3740, and E329. There are a few others that could be included as well, but those are the main ones. These assessments include an evaluation of the policies and procedures that are used by the laboratory, and then we'll also look at the records that result from the implementation of that quality management system to make sure that the laboratory is doing things properly, in accordance with the standard requirements, in accordance with their own requirements that they've defined in their quality management system. And we'll look for anything that might indicate some problems that they might not be aware of. Maybe some of the readings are not the right measurements that were recorded. That happens sometimes. Or maybe there were some improvements that could be made to the training program for the laboratory. Those kind of things can get uncovered during assessment as well, by looking at their policies, procedures, and then comparing them to their resulting records. When we talk about deliverables, we've got an assessment report. I already mentioned that we deliver one of those at the end of the assessment. That'll include a summary of all of the test methods that were presented and standards that were presented, some determination of whether they were satisfactory or if there were any findings. Now, it's not really a pass-fail. I know it kind of looks like it when you see this summary. If there are any findings at all, though, it'll say C findings. So it could be even its insignificant finding, but it would show up in the report as a deviation from the standard process. In AASHTO resource reports, we differentiate findings. They can be observations or they can be nonconformities. So sometimes when there's a finding, the laboratory doesn't have to resolve it with us. But if it's a nonconformity, we expect a corrective action and supporting documentation. So here's an example of what some of those nonconformities might look like, taken from an actual report. And we redacted any of the private information that's on there. That's just to show you what a finding might look like. Okay, the proficiency sample program, I mentioned that earlier. On the AASHTO resource side, we've got 20 different sample types right now. These samples get prepared individually, sent out to the laboratories that are participating. There are often hundreds of laboratories in each sample round. Some are bigger than others. But as you can see, they cover a wide range of materials. And like I mentioned earlier, CCRL would cover the cement, concrete, pozzolan, uh, masonry products that we wouldn't include, but they would all factor in the accreditation process. For the proficiency sample program, uh, this is a pretty painstaking process that our program director John goes through with his team, where they design these samples that are going to go out to the laboratories each year. And in our office, we have a packaging area, preparation and packaging area, kind of a warehouse area where these samples are prepared. They get shipped from here in Frederick, Maryland, sent out to all the laboratories. And then the laboratories have a certain amount of time to test those samples. Once they're done testing them, they enter them into our system. And then once the closing date occurs, uh, all of the results are averaged and standard deviations are determined, ratings are issued, and laboratories get the reports on how they did. So for every line item in a proficiency sample report, you can see the spread of data. So those points on the left represent the spread of all the participating laboratory data on that round for the two samples. They're all shipped out in pairs. And as you can see on the right side of the screen, we list the total labs that participated in the round, the average, what one standard deviation would be, and then the percent of their standard deviation that they had, which is what factors into the ratings that they ultimately get. So that's from a general report, but this is an individual laboratory. So this actually includes the Z-score and the ratings for each one of those. We use the ratings for each sample to determine their accreditation status, so that if you get repeat consecutive low ratings or non-participation, that can result in a suspension. The repeatability on the far right, that's an indicator of how consistent the laboratory is performing relative to the two samples that they ran, but we don't use that for accreditation purposes. But it's all good information for the laboratory to see. We also provide performance charts. This is a pretty good example of what you would want to see. So each round, you'll see the odd and even sample represented by either a dot or a box on this chart. The red line represents what would be a perfect result or exact average of all the laboratories. And what you really want to see is what is going on in almost all of these points, which is kind of hanging around that red line. You do see a dip at one point in the results. Those would still be satisfactory ratings if we looked at the ratings for those. But you can see that the laboratory must have taken corrective action and got back to the average on the next round. So that's a good thing. That's what we want to see is people making improvements. Now, the accreditation process, I think I gave most of this away along the discussion so far. The next thing we have is this is really useful to the DOTs and other specifying agencies that require accreditation. You can search the directory anytime you want. It's got live information indicating laboratories that are accredited for specific test methods in certain areas. You can see if somebody's suspended or not, and that gets updated every hour. This is just an example of I picked a laboratory that has a really large accreditation scope and happens to be one of the DOTs. Alabama DOT, great job. Here's an example of their directory listing, and this is available on the website, so anybody can see this information right now. And if you're looking to hire a laboratory, you'll have the confirmation or the contact information of that laboratory right there on the website, so you can reach out to them if you want to hire them to perform testing. But you can see there's a lot of details there. Also, we give the laboratory a certificate. So the way it's laid out is there's a kind of a cover page that they can post on their wall if they want. And then the subsequent pages have the scope of accreditation, which will include the accredited state for each standard in their directory listing. The last deliverable that we have, and if you require accreditation at all, and you are not using this free service, I recommend you reach out to us and get signed up. But we have a free service where laboratories can, or agencies can monitor the accreditation status of any laboratory in our program. We have a public and private level of access. Public does not require the laboratory's approval. Private does. But I'm not going to go too into this, but it allows some really useful information for monitoring. You get email alerts if somebody's accreditation status changes. If you're interested, just reach out to me. Our contact information will be available.
Now that we've heard about what AASHTO Resource is and who they are, I'm going to start to give a brief overview of AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions. So AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions came into existence in 1994 as the National Transportation Product Evaluation Program, also known as NETPEP. It started focused on two product types and provided evaluations of pavement marking materials and sign sheeting materials. And then over the years, more product evaluation categories were added, but the program had always been focused on just evaluating individual products. And this changed in 2008 when we introduced our first two audit programs, where instead of evaluating individual products, we were going into the actual manufacturing facilities to perform audits. And in 2008, we introduced our reinforcing steel and wire and our thermoplastic pipe audit programs. And then as our program grew and expanded and more data became available, we realized that we needed a way to more easily make this data viewable to our state DOT members who use the program. And so then in 2015, we previewed DataMine, which is our central repository for all data being output from this program, which we'll touch more upon later, was previewed at our annual meeting and then subsequently released for public use. In 2023, the program was rebranded from NETPEP to its current name, AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions, as an overall rebranding of AASHTO technical service programs. And then in the present day, coming a long way from the two programs we introduced in 1994, we now have 24 different technical committees, many of them with their own subcategories. So we're now covering a wide variety of product types. So what's AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solution? Where does it fall into AASHTO as an organization? We are one of the two teams making up our engineering department, and we fall under the overview of the Council on Highways and Streets. And the program itself has three different layers. We have our technical committees, which are the real meat and potatoes of the program that's doing the actual work with the state members and industry participants who are putting together the work plans that we use to carry out these product evaluations and audit solutions and provide the guidance throughout the process. On top of them is the steering committee, which is made up of one representative from each of our AASHTO regions, and they're responsible for periodically reviewing and revising on the organization, sunsetting, implementing new technical committees, looking at our policies and procedures of the program. And then at the very top, we have the program itself, which takes input from the state members, the councils on highways and streets, FHWA, and we go ahead to establish our policies and operating procedures and make sure that we're working towards our stated goal. So now we focused on what the program is. I'll talk a little bit more about the product categories that we handle. They mainly fall into three different buckets. Construction, which is our asphalt binder, our asphalt release agents, asphalt mixture additives, composite concrete reinforcements, and concrete admixtures and concrete curing compounds. Corrugated metal pipe, bridge bearing pads, epoxy resin binder, geotextiles, guardrail, guide rail, Portland blended cement, reinforcing steel and wire, thermoplastic pipes. We also have a bucket for maintenance type products with programs for pipe lining systems, high friction and thin overlays, structural steel coatings, joint sealants and crack sealants, rapid hardening concrete patch materials. And then finally, our traffic safety categories, which have our original programs of sign sheeting materials and pavement marking materials, along with raised pavement markers, temporary traffic control devices, and detectable warning systems. So for the product evaluation side of things, the process for that is that manufacturers will submit an application for their product to the program through our DataMine website. The applications are reviewed by an AASHTO staff member who makes sure that what the manufacturer submitted meets the work plan requirements for types of paperwork submitted, information submitted. If that's all acceptable, we send it on to be assigned to our testing facility, who is either a private lab or a state DOT lab, because we do contract with both. And the testing is performed in accordance to our work plans, and the data is uploaded to Datamine. It's provided for review to the manufacturers, who can choose whether they want to release it or withdraw it from the program. And if they choose to release it, the data is made available to all our Datamine subscribers on the Datamine website. And the deliverables for the evaluation programs, the testing is done as things like compositional analysis, accelerated performance testing, things like that. So the data coming out of that is either output through numerical data directly available in Datamine on the tables on each of the product pages, which are then searchable through the Datamine program. They can also be PDF reports, which also contain the evaluation data, or visual inspection and images for things like field testing or wear, stuff like that. And then to talk about the other side of the program, the audit side, I'm going to pass it back over to Vince.
Thank you, Keegan. So now we'll cover the audit program process under AASHTO Product Evaluation and Audit Solutions. First, the manufacturer will submit an application. Then the applications are reviewed and approved by a liaison. The liaison then has those audits assigned to an auditor. The audit is then conducted. Afterwards, the testing lab submits results to the auditor, and an audit report is then finalized and uploaded into Datamine. Data is made available to all applicable subscribers because we have varying subscriber levels. All right, but now let's review some of the components of the audit. QMS review. This consists of verifying the QMS against the current SPO1 and work plan requirements and ensure they include the corresponding documents and address all the required aspects. The facility audit itself is a review of the manufacturing process. It confirms the process is performed according to the QMS and relevant procedures, verifies the testing is performed according to applicable procedures, and takes samples for testing as needed. Next, there's the document review. This verifies that the manufacturer has the corresponding methods and specifications, verifies a completion of equipment verification, calibration, or standardization against SPO1 and QMS, and verifies training and competency records, reviewing the traceability records. And lastly, there's the audit report. This includes all the findings in a report that is uploaded into Datamine. This includes corrective action reports when applicable, along with any testing results performed on samples for comparison or compliance review. Audit program deliverables include the compliance authentication, which, as you see here, there's an example on the left-hand side of your screen. Compliance authentication includes a seal, the date where the compliance was administered, and the date of expiration of the compliance. For those who are reviewing a compliance authentication physically, there's a QR code available for you to scan with your phone. It'll redirect you to the location where you can view the current compliance of that compliance authentication to determine if it's still active. Other deliverables inclusive of the audit program are the audit reports, the test reports of sample products, compliance and comparison, markings as applicable to the program and its corresponding work plan, and corrective actions as applicable. Some examples of these audit deliverables you'll see on the screen. On the left-hand side, you'll see an audit summary report, and then you'll see a comparison sample report or conformance report on the right-hand side. Some additional examples, you'll see the markings on the left-hand side and a corrective action report on the right-hand side. As you know, our program, AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions, utilizes contracted testing facilities and auditors. Product evaluations are performed by accredited state or private labs that are under contract with AASHTO. There is a non-interference policy, so all correspondence between the manufacturer and the testing facility must go through AASHTO staff. Manufacturing facility audits are performed by auditors under contract with AASHTO, and manufacturers pay the cost of product testing and facility audits. Test data and audit reports are available through Datamine, datamine.transportation.org. Here, you'll see the landing page of the login page for datamine.transportation.org/account/login. You can navigate to this page at any point in Datamine at the top right-hand side where it says login/register. In addition to the Datamine interface, there is a section called the Industry Document Repository. Under the resources section of DataMine, this can be accessed. Industry Document Repository, also known as the IDR. This includes documentation that is directly uploaded by the industry user. This is regulatory documentation. So for instance, documentation may be related to federal requirements, such as Build America, Buy America Act. We also have some legacy environmental product declaration documentation. However, that is being sunsetted within the current year. We do expect Build America, Buy America documentation to expand greatly in this coming year, and there should be a lot as we pursue into 2026. There are also monthly summary reports provided by asphalt binder suppliers and Portland blended cement industry participants. And there are facility inspection reports provided by the composite concrete reinforcement manufacturers uploaded into the IDR. Finally, there's another facet of the AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions program called the Unique Patent Proprietary Products Program, or UPCUBed. This program is utilized to review and evaluate innovative and proprietary products. These are market-ready products, and they don't exactly fit into pre-existing product category, such as the 24 technical committee programs that are currently active within AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions. The applicability of these products and usage at the state level may be deemed necessary for them to have a work plan associated with them, tailored specifically as a statement of work and pursued as an AASHTO product evaluation. These products are then evaluated under the UPCUBed program, and the online database includes these AASHTO evaluated products, as well as state product evaluations and state product certifications. This is also included in the DataMine interface. In the top bar, you'll see UP3. Now, we'll move on to review some similarities and differences between asphalt binders and cement programs. So let's go ahead and review some of the differences between AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions and AASHTO Resource Laboratory Assessment Program, LAP, and when it comes to asphalt binders. Under the AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions Program, the audits for asphalt binder suppliers cover refineries, modifying suppliers, and pass-through suppliers. This program determines compliance with standard practice for qualification of highway product manufacturers through the use of AASHTO Audit's SPO1 and the ABS work plan. The auditor reviews quality management systems and documents the production process while observing quality control inspections performed at the facility.
While Vince's programs focused on the manufacturer of the products, we're focused on the laboratory testing alone. So we might be assessing asphalt binder testing labs at DOTs, at universities, private testing labs. It could be at a refinery or a producer or a terminal that has a lot of their own laboratory testing going on as well. But again, strictly focused on the laboratory component of what they do. And we're assessing conformance to AASHTO R18 and our accreditation program requirements. We may be looking at AASHTO ASTM, ISA, or state, or even some Corps of Engineers standards, not so much for binder, but for some of the other products. And the assessor is going to be reviewing quality management systems and testing.
Under the AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions Program, the auditor reviews random records for traceability, training, competency evaluations, inspection equipment records, internal audits, and management reviews conducted by the supplier. They also confirm if the supplier's testing lab is AASHTO accredited for asphalt binder testing. This identifies required corrective actions and observations found during the audit and confirms completion of the corrective action report and the implementation of any corrective actions from a previous year.
Yeah, there are some similarities to note there because the R18 includes quite a few of those bullet points that Vince first talked about. But the assessor is also going to be watching testing, talking to key personnel that are involved in the implementation of the quality management system, reviewing records, policies, procedures, equipment. They identify nonconformities and observations in the reports, like we showed earlier, and they're looking at proficiency sample participation.
Under AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions, the frequency of the audit, there's an initial audit to begin with, and then an annual audit thereafter. Every 5 years, including the initial audit, there's a desktop review and quality system manual review. The deliverables available to AASHTO members and audit supplier through the data mine interface include the audit report, the compliance authentication, and the corrective action reports, and any other reports that may be specific to that technical committee program, but this one specifically asphalt binder. There will be monthly summary reports, and those would also be available to the AASHTO members as well as the audit supplier.
Now, our assessment staff targets for the 27-month interval between assessments. So it's not every year. Right now, I can't remember where we're at, but we're a bit over 27 months as we've been recovering from the time that we were dealing with COVID. But we're honing in on that 27-month interval. Like we talked about earlier, the deliverables for the assessment team is the assessment report. One note, participation in the ABS proficiency sample program is required for AASHTO R18 accreditation. That's the asphalt binder. Yeah.
And now we'll cover the differences when it comes to Portland and blended cement. Under the AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solution program, audits for Portland blended cement suppliers cover mills and terminals, including ports of entry specifically. More of a definition can, if you're interested, can be regarded from the work plan regarding the definition of a port of entry. The determination of compliance with standard practice of qualification of highway product manufacturers through the use of AASHTO audits, SPO1, and the PVC work plan. And the auditor reviews the quality management system and confirms if the testing lab is CCRL inspected.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, CCRL would cover this. So AASHTO Resource does not cover these assessments, but CCRL does. They call them inspections, but it's the same thing as an assessment. It's just the terminology they use. So CCRL is part of ASTM. They provide proficiency samples just like we do. And they're going to be evaluating conformance with, they use ASTM C1077 and actually for cement C1222 as the basis of their program. If the laboratory is going for accreditation, they'll also look at AASHTO R18 and the AASHTO accreditation program requirements. They look at physical testing and they look at chemical testing results if somebody's interested in getting accredited for chemical testing. The assessor will evaluate the quality management system, as I said before, for R18 if they're getting accredited. If they only need to be inspected, though, they're just going to look at C1222.
Under AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions, the auditor evaluates quality control inspection, documents the production process, and reviews random records for traceability, training and competency evaluations, equipment records, internal reviews, and management reviews.
Yeah, and the CCRL inspection should be pretty much like the AASHTO resource assessment, where they're looking at the test that the laboratory requested, watching them run the test, they're checking the quality management system, policies, procedures, records, and everything that's defined in R18 and C1222.
Furthermore, under AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions, the auditor collects test comparison samples from mills. They collect physical and chemical properties, terminals, physical properties, and ports of entry, physical unless chemical properties if requested. The auditor identifies required corrective actions and documents observations found during the audit and confirms completion of the corrective action and implementation of any corrective actions from the previous year.
Now, CCRL will not be taking any samples away from the laboratory, but they will be looking to see what the qualification testing was at the laboratory if they're getting accredited for chemical testing. They're also going to make sure that the laboratory has been successfully participating in the CCRL proficiency sample programs. And the way we require laboratories to participate in those, because they do offer Portland blended limestone cement samples, we just say, whatever that laboratory is normally testing, that's what they should get enrolled in. And that's what we would evaluate when we're looking at the accreditation requirements.
And regarding the AASHTO Product Evaluation Audit Solutions frequency of the audits, just like ABS, we have the same with initial and annually thereafter. The desktop reviews, they're done every 5 years, including the initial. This includes quality system manual. And the deliverables available to AASHTO members and the audited supplier. This includes audit report, compliance authentication, corrective actions, along with there are summary reports also included in those deliverables available in the industry document repository as well as in the module.
And for CCRL, they're targeting that 24 to 30 month interval. For the DOTs, it's going to be the exact same as the AASHTO resource interval now because we're doing those combined assessments. But for the private laboratories, it may vary depending on where they are on the tour. The deliverable is going to be that inspection report, which is, again, inspection and assessment are the same thing. And proficiency sample program requirements do fall into play with AASHTO R18 requirements and AASHTO accreditation policy requirements.
So there you have it, 2 AASHTO programs, 1 shared goal. Both AASHTO programs ensure consistency, integrity, and cost effectiveness through unbiased procedures while setting high standards to assess products, facilities, and laboratories across the transportation industry in support of a safe, reliable, and efficient system.
Here's some contact information for AASHTO Resource. We have a lot of information available on our website. We've got a podcast that comes out with monthly episodes covering all sorts of quality-related issues in the construction materials arena. We've also got our technical exchange coming up here in Louisville, Kentucky in March. That is available on the information's available on the events page of our website.
And we have a lot of resources available for AASHTO product evaluation on solutions as well. We have the website, contact us page, frequently asked questions, a LinkedIn we're very active on. We post regularly, YouTube channel with a lot of resources that assist with both the technical committee program webinars as well as data mine navigation. We'll be sure to deliver this PowerPoint with all these resource links and directives out after this webinar.